Hello and welcome to my quick overview of how you can install the OOOCTA out-of-office configuration tool assistant 3.5 on Windows 2003 Service Pack 2 x64 servers. As you can see, I'm on my 64-bit 2003 server here, and what I want to do is take you through the installation. Just a point of note, this server meets the base prerequisites as described in the OOOCTA 35 documentation, which of course means relevant version of PowerShell, has a installation of a SQL 2008 on it, Express Edition, as well as some other prerequisites that I mentioned in the document. So as you can see in this window over here, I've downloaded the Setup MSI. So what I do here is I double click on it, and you'll see a familiar setup screen come up, or wizard, which you can run through. Click next. You'll be asked where on the server you'd like to place the OOOCTA. You can change this path. I recommend you leave it at the default just for easy supportability reasons, but you can change it. There's no huge reason why you can't, but I'll accept the defaults here. Click install, and you see, bam, it's fairly quick there. What we do now is we head to the location on the hard drive where we've installed OOOCTA. You see it down here. And within this parent folder, you'll see that there are 4 other folders: configuration, interface, service, SQL. The folder that we're interested in the most at the moment is configuration. So if you open that up, you'll see that there is a file in there, or an executable rather, called OOOCTA inst prereqs. This performs the task of, as you might expect, it performs the task of configuring a number of prerequisites for the application. Now, it's actually a Windows command line utility, so if you do need to run this, so you will need to navigate to it using CMD and use CD commands to get there, or however other ways that you can sort of get there quickly should you wish to. But I've actually got command prompt here installed on my server, so it's a little bit easier for me. And what I'm going to do to run this command is it expects 2 parameters from the command line, one of which is the location of the interface files and one of which is the location of the service. Now for me, I have an easy way of doing this. I tend to go back, select the address from the Windows taskbar, paste it in, and then on this one, paste it in and add in interface, and with this one, paste it in and add in service. So what I have there is the locations of the ASPX files, which, as you can see, interface, the ASPX files, and the service there. So what we do is you hit enter when you're happy with that, and the tool goes away. It creates an Active Directory user for you. It creates some entry, an IIS virtual directory, and it creates an IIS application pool as well. So now that we've done that, what we want to move on to next is into the Exchange Management Console. And there's 2 things that we want to do in here. Firstly, we want to create a mailbox for the service account that we've created in Active Directory, which I will actually just quickly show you before we go on there. Is when you go in here, refresh, you'll see that there's a svc OOOCTA _dom has appeared. And for completeness, on Windows 2003 server, the installer also adds that account into the IISWPG group. This is for so it can actually work within an application pool for IIS as a service user. So anyhow, now that we know that it's there, we now need to create a mailbox for that user. So in the Exchange Management Console, go to New User Mailbox, add existing users. As you can see, it's there. Select OOOCTA.dom, move through it next, choose a database for it, and there we are. So the next thing, now that we've got a mailbox for it, the next thing that we want to do is add it to the Exchange organisation admins area. So we go to the top of the tree in the management console, add Exchange admin, choose who we would like to be. I personally just go straight to where the user is to reduce the number as a result. So there we are. And the service account does need to be a full exchange organisation administrator. So we click add there. And after a short period of time, one hopes, the account appears in the organisation configuration. What we need to do next is we now need to finish off the configuration of the OOOCTA service. So if we jump into the services MMC, I'll refresh my service list, you'll see that the OOOCTA command processor service has been installed and not started because there is, as I said, some small configuration that we need to do on it before we can. So if you double click on the service, click on the log on tab, what's important to do here is the installer doesn't put the password in for the service, so you need to enter it here. Now the password that you use is contained within the user manual, the default password. You can obviously change this, but I recommend for the purposes of actually just getting the system up and running, you stick with the default passwords. But apart from setting the password, this also serves as a useful way of getting the service account to log on as a service. So when you click apply, you'll get this message. You can try this via the local security policy if you want to, but I found during testing it's better to allow the services MMC to actually do it for you. So, we're into the home straight here now. What we basically want to do is now set up our SQL database. Going back to the installation binary location, you'll see that there's a folder called SQL. If you open up the SQL area, you'll see that there are a number of SQL scripts and a batch file. Upon execution of the batch file, and remember this is for SQL Express. This is for SQL Express, which is installed locally on the server. If you double click on it, you'll see that it runs through. And what that has done locally is, if I go into the SQL instance, create the relevant SQL database for OOOCTA and security objects. So we've got OOOOCTA. If we have a look at the properties of that and the user mappings, you'll see it's got permissions DB owner on the OOOCTA DB. An inspection of the OOOCTA DB, you'll see that we have our tables as we would expect, and certain the one table that has pre-populated parameters is OOOCTA parameters. So as you can see there. Okay, so that's basically how you can get a default installation and a quick installation of OOOCTA 335 on your server. What I'll be doing in the next part is showing you how you can log into the OOOCTA interface. Well, more than log into the interface, because I'll show I'll give a demonstration of that now. But I'll be showing you how you can configure OOOCTA to within the actual OOOCTA application. So if we click Browse here, move this down. There we go. We got the startup screen there. Now, if we want to actually test the service to ensure that the service is actually running, we can click on System Log. Go to Services, and refresh, and we know that the service is communicating with the database, as we would expect. Cool. Okay, what I'd like, as I said, I'll cover in the next part is options that you need to set in here. And I'll also be doing another part which details some of the important prereqs, particularly surrounding the EWS DLL file. Hope this has been useful.